Hey guys, I want to welcome you back to another episode of Pistons Talk Podcast post-game show. We are going to get into these quarter notes and then we will open up the show to any comments, questions, um, concerns with this game. Want to use it as just like a venting session? By all means, go for it. Let's get into the first quarter. So I want to credit the Pistons for this. They actually came out aggressive in the first quarter. Um, but towards the end of it, it kind of got a little sloppy. But they started much better. They were keeping pace with Cleveland. Duncan Robinson was hitting some early threes. Duran was active around the basket. But I think what really hurt us in the first quarter were the turnovers down the stretch. Um, and then the offense looked really flat when Cade was on the bench. We're running like this bench unit where the broadcast mentioned it a lot. It was like Donis Jenkins, Javante Green, Tobias Harris, and they just struggled to really generate any type of offensive rhythm. The Cavs had a 33-24 lead to end the first quarter. Coming out of the second quarter, we just couldn't generate anything in the half court. Now, I remember a few games last year where the Pistons set a record for missing consecutive shots. Now, the broadcast had mentioned late first quarter, going into the second quarter, this team missed, get this, 19 straight shots. It's a big reason why the Cleveland Cavaliers were able to get up to a huge lead. They were up as many as I think 35 tonight in this one, but you're missing 19 straight shots. You're not moving the ball because they didn't, and you're turning the basketball over. That is just a recipe to lose this game. And going into halftime, the Cavs had a 63-41 lead. Coming out of halftime, I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know if we were going to get a team that was just going to be kind of like the comeback heroes that we know they are, but they came out flat. Cavs start the third quarter on an 11-0 run to just pile onto that lead. They were up as much as 30 points in this third quarter. Ron Holland was pretty active, I will say, in the third quarter. They decided to bring in Paul Reed since they weren't really getting too much out of Jalen Duran tonight in a standpoint of just, bringing it on both ends. Paul Reed brought energy, but again, the Pistons were down huge. 90-66 was the score after three. And the Pistons, you know what? They waved the white flag towards the fourth quarter. They had their two-way guys out there. They had Donis Jenkins, Tolu Smith, Colby Jones, Bobby Klippman got some clock. Chaz Lanier got some clock. This was a game where I thought they started off the first 6 minutes great. After that, Cleveland just dictated the way that they were going to play. Donovan Mitchell had that ball in a string. He had plenty of highlight level type plays. But this game was over by the second quarter. There was just nothing that the Pistons could do. They do lose this once the Cleveland Cavaliers 116-95 was the final score. But just to kind of recap it, I mean, missing 19 straight shots, turning the ball over, which we'll get into. I'll put the box score and the team stats on the screen in a little bit if you guys are interested to see like how ugly this one did get. But those are my main takeaways. You can't turn the ball over the way that you did tonight. You have to hit shots and you have to move the ball. I think that's what lost you the game, and the lack thereof of a secondary ball handler. I know that they were experimenting with the SAR. Star didn't have as many touches tonight. I don't know if that was by design or it was just a situation where JB wanted to run more Donis Jenkins tonight, but not having Jaden Ivey, not having Karis LeVert, Marcus Sasser really hurts because all the ball handling goes on to Cade Cunningham, and you saw the non-Cade Cunningham minutes where they were trying to feature, whether it was Jalen Duran bringing the ball up the court, whether it was Isaiah Stewart bringing the ball up the court, Tobias Harris bringing the ball up the court. Like this team desperately needs a secondary ball handler, in my personal opinion. I don't think the Pistons are going to be so reactionary to go get a backup point guard or try to find a secondary ball handler. But nights like tonight, it really just it's glaring if you were to watch this game. But I do want to open up the show to comments and questions with you guys. So let's get into it. I'm just going to start a couple. I am reading these as they do come in. So we do have a couple start. This one comes from Red Baron. The Cavs have exploited every weakness the Pistons have an unapologetic all game long. Yeah, I mean, I really thought the Cavs, when they were bringing the ball up the court, Red Baron, especially in the transition game, they really attacked the Detroit Pistons. And the Cleveland Cavaliers are a very good basketball team. I mean, that's their third straight win. They won 60 plus last year. They're a top dog in the Eastern Conference. And you saw why tonight. I mean, Donovan Mitchell looked like he was just on a whole nother level. Some of the plays that he was making. But honestly, it's unexcusable to have an effort like that, because we saw for the first 6 minutes of the game, you were matching them in scoring, you were making defensive stops, and then it just dictated the Cavs' way. The Cavs, to me, I think were a little bit more aggressive, moving the ball defensively, especially in their half court defense. I thought was really good, but I do agree with you. It was a really bad display tonight by the Pistons. Rocky, that was so freaking embarrassing. JB ironically showed why he got fired in the first place, because he got thoroughly outcoached. Okay, I get this game was bad. JB got fired because Donovan Mitchell and the other vets on the team didn't like him. Obviously, not scoring in Cleveland under JB was a thing in the playoffs, but I'm not going to come up here and crash out game 4 when it's an 82 game season. This team isn't fully healthy. You don't have your second leading scorer of last year in Jaden Ivey. You don't have Karis LeVert, who you signed to get those secondary ball handling reps. If Marcus Sasser was healthy, he probably would have got some on-ball reps as well. I get it's a frustrating loss, but I'm not going to come up here and, crash out and say, oh, that's why JB Bickerstaff got fired, when this team isn't fully healthy. And the Cavs are a little bit more healthier than we are. I mean, the only people they're missing really is Darius Garland and Max Strus. But, they still have Donovan Mitchell, one of the best players, best shooting guards, I would say, in the NBA, one of the best. Got a comment, says, don't want to compare, but going to work team had grit and skill. You could trust Rip to knock down jumpers. They'd start off slow, but would have the grit to get stops and the skill to catch up. I mean, like you said, you don't want to compare a championship roster to a team that is improved. I think there are real expectations with this team this year. I think that's why so many Pistons fans are upset with this loss tonight, and I understand it. But this team is a lot different from last year. You don't have a Malik Beasley. You don't have a Tim Hardaway Jr. You don't have a Dennis Schroeder. I think the spacing, to me, is a bigger issue this year than it was last year. I think the spacing isn't the same. The lanes are very clogged. I think Duncan Robinson is still getting used to JB's system. I think Asar Thompson at times clogs the lane, and he doesn't really mean to. It's a little bit of miscommunication. Tobias Harris and Duncan are supposed to be your floor spacers in the starting lineup, and then you have non-shooters and Jalen Duren and Asar Thompson. I think last season you had much better floor spacing with Tim and Malik and Tobias out there. I think right now this team is a lot different on paper. And I think it's just an adjustment period. We're 2-2. All right. Last year around this time, we were 0-4. And some people were thinking we were going to go on another 28 game losing streak, right? Um, I honestly think that this was a game where they probably won't even watch the tape. They'll just burn it. And you have a struggling Orlando Magic team that you're going to see Wednesday. They just lost to the Philadelphia 76ers. They lost to the Chicago Bulls. They're a team that's struggling right now. Zach, I had to miss the game. What the heck happened? Cleveland just decided that they were gonna just go crazy. I mean, like, what happened was, you missed 19 straight shots. You have over 20 plus turnovers. The half court defense by Cleveland, I thought, really bothered the Pistons. They couldn't get anything generating. The ball wasn't moving. It was just a lot of isolations, contested jump shots. And you have to credit the Cleveland's defense. I thought we didn't move the ball as much as we probably should have tonight. But, I mean, that's a game where if the Pistons had it back, I think they would be a little bit more focused. They would move the ball more. They would communicate more. I think defensively, our rotations weren't consistent on a possession basis. But, I mean, it was a rough game to watch. It really was. Do want to get to a couple more questions. So we got a hot take from King Yuta. Says he's calling it now. This team is not making the playoffs. Okay, if you have a hot take, game 4, they're 2-2. You don't think the team's making the playoffs. That's fair. I still think that they're going to be making the playoffs. I understand there are real expectations with this team. Fans have expectations, and I'm not telling you guys how to feel. If you watched a game like this, it was a disappointing loss. The effort, I think, offensively wasn't there. I think the players that actually gave effort, Ron Holland, Isaiah Stewart, Paul Reed, Star Thompson, like they gave effort tonight. It's just Cleveland's defense really suffocated the Pistons in the half court. But I mean, if you think that they're not going to make the playoffs, that's fine. I get it. But it's a situation where our transition defense isn't consistent. I just saw Rocky just comment that. That was something that I meant to mention. Like our transition defense is late a lot getting back. You saw it in the Chicago game. You saw it tonight against Cleveland. You even saw it a little bit against Boston early on in the first quarter. Like the transition defense needs to get cleaned up. The Pistons need to go back, get back and call players. Say, hey, I got this guy. There's not that much communication this year when there was a lot last year. Now, we're in October, right? This was a team that really didn't hit his stride until January of last year. I'm not saying that they're going to wait that long to hit their stride, but I do think that once they get more games under their belt, they'll get better. I mean, you look at the rest of the games this week. You have Orlando, and then you have Dallas. I honestly think that those are 2 winnable games if you come out the way you did against Houston. If you come out that way, you play that competitively, you don't let stuff slip. I think you have a very good shot of beating in a struggling Orlando Magic team. I think you have a good shot of beating a Dallas Maverick team that isn't really playing too much defense this year. But I mean, this team isn't perfect. It's not. They have a lot of stuff to clean up, and I'm sure the coaching staff and the Pistons would probably, tell you that firsthand. Like a lot of these players would probably own up to, a game like tonight that they just didn't really bring it offensively, and Cleveland took full advantage of the Pistons' miscommunication in the transition defensively. And I think that's why they were able to just exploit the Pistons' weakness tonight and why they lost this game the way they did. But I'm not going to crash out, say that the Pistons aren't going to make the playoffs after 4 games. Cleveland won this game. And the way that they played, I think should wake up the Pistons. They probably don't want to have another loss like that on the schedule. I remember when they lost really bad to the Utah Jazz. I don't know if you guys remember that game. Utah came to LCA and they dropped the hammer on the Pistons. And what did the Pistons do? They came out and they started winning. Maybe this was the wake up call that the team needed to get better in transition defensively. We're really early in onto the season. I'm not entirely sure how to calm you guys down because it's game 4. I'm not freaking out. I'm not, but I'll get to a couple more comments and questions, and then we'll probably wrap this podcast up. Aaron, hard to play great transition defense when they're pricking open shots and layups all game. Yeah, I mean, from a shooting perspective, this game was pretty bad. I did mention at the top of the podcast I would show some of the box scores, so we can do that. If you guys didn't catch the game or you're just wondering, we can kind of go over these box scores. So Tobias Harris tonight had 10 points in 18 minutes, shot 2 out of 8 from the field. It was a minus 18. Didn't play too much. Duncan Robinson played 26 minutes. He had 8 points. Shot 3 out of 8 from the field. Jalen Duren in 21 minutes had 8 points and 7 rebounds. 3 out of 5 from the field. I mean, he didn't have a bad game, just defensively. I think JB wanted the role with Stu a little bit more. Cade Cunningham in 29 minutes. He was 3 out of 14 from the field, 1 for 7 from 3. Only had 12 points. He had a really tough night. And the way Cleveland really just guarded him defensively, I think it made it really difficult, the way they were trapping him. Asar Thompson only played 15 minutes, which was kind of puzzling to me. I don't know if he was injured or it was a coaching decision. He had 6 points and 3 rebounds. Again, I don't really know why he only played 15 minutes. I thought he should have played more. Paul Reed did get a little bit of clock in 8 minutes. He had 4 points. Tolu Smith, got his shine in the fourth quarter, had 11 points in kind of garbage time. Stu only shot 1 on 9 from 3, had 4 points. The minus 30 isn't really his fault, honestly, when you look at plus minus. He was just getting out rebounded by the double bigs. Ron Holland had 11 points, and you guys can keep going down with Donis Jenkins and Chaz Lanier, but overall, wasn't too good of a game for the Pistons. If we do look at the team stats for the Pistons and the Cavs, I think the story of this game where you guys can look at it is right here. It's the turnovers. Pistons had 26 turnovers. It's hard to win a game if you turn the ball over 15 times. 26 turnovers is a lot. Cleveland did have 20, but a lot of those came in the fourth quarter in garbage time. But 26 turnovers is a lot. They didn't shoot the ball particularly well. They only shot 37% from the field. They got to the free throw line. They just weren't making their free throws. Rebounding was about even, but 26 turnovers is a lot, you guys. It really is a lot. They have to do a better job of taking care of the basketball. They really do. It's a situation where you're not going to win a basketball game when you have 26 turnovers. You're not going to win a basketball game when you miss 19 straight shots. And you can credit Cleveland for their defense. The Pistons half-court offense was really bad. I think that's actually a weakness of this team is when they don't have a secondary creator or secondary ball handler, whether that's Jaden Ivey or whether that's Karis LeVert, this team's going to struggle to create offense. I think where this team really thrives is in the open court and transition, but if they're not making stops, then this team struggles. But I'm going to wrap this podcast up. I really am. I don't want to get into too much negativity off of one game. Obviously, it wasn't the way we wanted the outcome to be. But again, the Pistons do lose this game 116 to 95. Pistons do play again on Wednesday. We'll be doing a pregame show on Wednesday. That'll be released on Wednesday afternoon with an Orlando Magic content creator. If you guys have been watching those, we've been doing pregame shows with different content creators and podcasters with the opposing team. So we'll be talking to a Magic content creator that I know. and kind of previewing the game of the Detroit Pistons and the Orlando Magic. But until next time, you guys, have a good night. Take care. And go Pistons. Don't stress out over this game. Don't crash out. Have a good night, you guys. Peace.